We don't care. It's Friday.
We're live.
And I just dealt with traffic.
It is Friday. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
We're together.
It's a double defense, 2/3 weekend. Why act like I'm drunk already? Well, got my drink.
Oh, I can't wait. I need a drink. Maybe tomorrow.
Happy Friday.
Maybe tomorrow. Happy Friday. Welcome to Double Defense. This is
Who else is caught up yet? Anybody out there?
Caught up with Double Defense or caught up on our drinking?
Shh, both.
Both.
You can't keep up. We mastered this.
We are on, can you believe it? We're on season 2, episode 3.
Summer version.
Summer version, because
we haven't hit summer yet here because it's cold and gloomy.
It's nice today. Yeah, it's nice today.
It rained yesterday.
It rained here too.
For anybody joining us for the first time, because I'm sure we have hundreds of new listeners today, we are an all-female New York Rangers hockey podcast with 2 New York Rangers fans and a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. We're all really bored in June these days.
We're like, when's hockey going to be on?
Yeah.
What channel? What time?
What channel?
I think we have to wait till October
what day?
now. So we are passing our time talking hockey, bringing you stories about the New York Rangers, what's going on in the offseason, what's going on with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and what's happening around the league. Obviously,
while we're drinking more because it's summer. And it's Friday. And it's weekend.
It is summer. It is Friday. It is all of those things. So while we are here, it is Friday, June 2nd. So I think the finals start tomorrow.
Yeah, they do. The finals do start tomorrow. 5 o'clock on TNT or TBS. They're both listed. So pick a channel.
And who are we pulling for? I mean, we have Florida and we have Vegas.
Florida.
So right now I have a poll out on our story, and it's looking like I think 2/3 of the people are kind of pulling for the Panthers. So wow. Okay.
I think the Panthers
is going to be an automatic thing. The Florida Panthers. That's what they do there.
So weird.
I think the Panthers are great because obviously they had a Cinderella season, but I got to be pulling for Vegas. I think it would be good for the league to have Vegas win, and especially for Stacy, who was a big supporter of our podcast from the beginning. So for Stacy, as a Vegas fan, and we had a great time in Vegas earlier.
We need to have her on in the next couple weeks, to kind of see how it's going. That's a good point. Look, both teams are going in tomorrow. Neither one has ever won a Stanley Cup. That really in itself is exciting. I do like seeing first. I don't think there's a lot of people on the teams that have won Stanley Cups. So that I like too. I mean, I like seeing people achieve things for the first time. Some of these other people who, in teams who've won it before, and it just even, unless it's us, I'm like, it doesn't mean as much as something this important. And with that, I think that inspires them, to dig even. I mean, everybody wants to win the Stanley Cup, but when you had like Tampa Bay playing for the 3rd time in a row, when we were playing last year, it's not as exciting. So this one, I'm hoping it's going to be a good match because we saw the semifinals, like the conference finals, go to overtimes. It was anybody's game. The first game went to, broke a record, 6th longest game. I want to see that, So the only problem with that is they, if you saw the schedule, which I put, it's on our story now. It's like 2 days, and there's a 3-day break. And there's a couple 3-day breaks. I'm like, the
league loves milking.
The momentum is not
finals.
There, and that'll
be July before this is over.
Well, we're also getting preempted, I think, by the NBA, which shows the importance of the NHL in people's minds. But when you lose the momentum, you're going to lose, the viewers and the fans and the interest. So I'm even curious how interested I'm going to be going forward, with a break. Because I like it every day and then every other day, and I'm kind of jonesing for it. And no, in the next 2 weeks, we're just not going to have it at all.
So I know Sarah has to jump off in a couple of minutes, but before she does, let's have some predictions. Who's winning? How many games? Anything crazy?
I think it's Florida. I don't know. Like, I feel like Bettman's probably got his hands in there saying make it go to 7 on some level.
Yes. I think Vegas paid extra for it to go to 7.
Every time they go another game, they earn another $8,000 million.
Oh my God.
In glitter.
No kidding. It's great for the city of Vegas.
What's the glitter budget? I wonder.
Yeah, what is the glitter budget? I'll have to ask Stacey about that.
Come on, someone's got to have that answer.
Well, we definitely will have to have her on.
Yeah.
And then she can answer, because everybody's so sparkly and cute and glittery, and I even want stuff.
I'm going to agree. Okay, so I feel like all things being equal, if there was no glitter budget, I would say Panthers in 5. I really do. I feel like the Panthers have been playing exceptionally good hockey. I don't think they're going to lose that momentum. However, with the factoring in of the glitter budget, I might switch that to Panthers in 7. If the conspiracy theories hold true, I would say 7 games.
They've been sitting, like the Panthers have been sitting for a while. So that momentum from that first round with Boston may not be there. I'm hoping that each game is just one goal, like, and goes to overtimes. Again, anybody's game. Once you hit overtime, I'm sticking with Vegas in 6.
Nice.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
I just want them to win.
I'm going to manifest it. I can't see it. So
Vegas in 6.
All right. So we have Panthers in 5, maybe Vegas in 6. Sarah, you're the deciding vote.
I'm going to say Panthers in 7.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Check the space in probably in 6 weeks we'll be done with the finals, and we can go back and see how we did.
It's funny. The 7 games. It was funny when I was watching the Dallas Vegas game. I've always had a theory that somehow they try to make it go 7 games, especially now that like the Panthers won really quickly. And so I was kind of surprised that, like Vegas had it and then they lost 2 in a row, and I wasn't able to watch that second one. So, but then when I turned it on and they had control. So I need to watch closely to see if the refs have, are calling things or not calling things, which we've seen in the playoffs. Unfortunately, again, we've talked about it before. We're going to talk about it again with the refs and the inconsistencies. So those are the take. Again, one of the things I've learned in doing this podcast for the year is looking at things in a different perspective and seeing if our conspiracy theories are at all close to anything. So let's see how these games go and how the refs are calling it, and see if they can push it out, as long as they can.
We should get a bingo card for the reffing. I feel like we could do that.
Double defense bingo cards.
Yeah, drinking game, refereeing drinking game.
Yes.
If the bench has to call.
We got to keep that in secret. We have a whole marketing department going off on the side here. Toshi, where are you? Yeah. We're going to open the store really soon. Great idea.
Well, we do have a lot to look forward to. Sarah, thank you for joining us. We look forward to hearing more about what's going on in Canada during this offseason. So
we have some new Penguins management hires. So I think the next episode we can catch up on where we are with new hires. There's still a lot of talk, and we're going to start seeing more development in hiring in the next week or 2 as well. So,
and I think some trades too, possibly, or contracts that don't get renewed. So I have some notes, and I can't wait to expand on them further. And I'm sure we'll have more details to share at that point as well, because it's still pretty vague right now. But we'll be getting closer.
All right. Bye, Sarah.
Have a great weekend. Wow, we missed
I'll talk to you next week.
How do we get down here?
I know. Yes. I'll figure it out next week, because I'm not as busy next week. Thank God. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Yay.
So speaking of which, we're going to segue just a little bit, because obviously there have been a lot of rumors flying around about who the new Rangers coach is going to be. So I've heard Laviolette.
We still want Knobloch.
Just Knobloch. I've heard a lot of stuff recently. I don't know if you have any feelings one way or the other. There is part of me with the people that they are talking to right now. I'm like, who would be great is Gerard Gallant, because I feel like he does have. I'm having a little change of heart, and I don't know if any other Rangers fans are feeling that way. But
considering the
options, I was thinking how great it would be because he is somebody who's going to shake things up. I mean, we always want what we can't have, which is funny because I was the first one who was like, get rid of him, he's awful. But the other options, especially like Hines I don't even know if he's won a Stanley Cup. He was fired after missing the playoffs repetitively with the Predators. So I don't know where we are going to wind up. But on that note, I have written a little bit of an open letter to whoever our new coach is going to be. And Christine has not heard this, but I welcome her. I welcome her thoughts and opinions as I share our open letter to our new coach. Dear new coach, welcome to New York, or maybe welcome back. We don't know who you are yet, and that's fine. But on behalf of Double Defense, we wanted to welcome you to this team. As part of your onboarding process, because we've decided we are officially the HR department for the New York Rangers. We do a lot of things, that too. We're so happy that you have been chosen to lead this storied franchise to a Stanley Cup victory in 2024. No pressure at all. Before that happens, though, we wanted to offer you some free advice courtesy of Double Defense. Number one, and this one is very near and dear to my heart. Take care of our bromances. Just kidding, but not kidding.
Growing.
But not kidding at all. Chemistry is everything with this team. You have to know it. You have to see it, understand it, read about it. Find the magic in the lines and don't be afraid to try anything new. And I do have a note, Zabenisenko.
Oh, okay.
So, I just want to get your thoughts on that. Chemistry, how do you feel that is going to play a role in the Rangers next season?
I think if we keep Tarasenko, that could grow really nicely.
Yes.
Zabenisenko. I think that can go any way. I think he blends well. It'd be nice to see what kind of other bromance can form out of that. I like him there.
Too.
So let's just keep our fingers crossed. And the hardest part is picking out the right names. I still have to name my dragon, which I think I have one too. But yeah, so I like it, and I kind of like the idea that this coach needs to know these teams and the connections, build and grow them. And I think what we realized we lacked was not giving them more of the opportunity we felt they deserved.
Yeah.
So
I think Gallant did a lot of that. He did a lot of like changing the lines, but then not letting them actually have time to see how they mesh together.
And when they did well, not giving them that extra, time, to expand on it. So I think that's important too. So instead, and I don't like changing things up as much as I do like fixing what you feel is broken or not working. The answer is not trading. The answer is developing and strengthening what you have. So that's what we want to see.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that whoever Drury is interviewing right now, that's a big part of the conversation. I'm sure that it is, and maybe that's something that Hines brings to the table that we just don't know about. But yeah, I think that's going to be super key to figuring out how the next season kind of progresses.
There's a lot of talk about these coaches right now, and look, it's not even up to us. So everyone can speculate and chat and do that. I like the open.
But we are the HR department, so they do have to come through us. Okay, all right. Number two is very important. Make sure that Igor gets enough sleep. Yes, we need him happy and healthy. We don't need stressed out Igor. Stressed out Igor gets to the point that he starts screaming at the guys on the bench.
Actually, I like that Igor.
Or maybe we need to see that Igor earlier in the season too. So Igor obviously saved our butts so many times, before the playoffs, during the playoffs. So what do you think? Where do you see goaltending this coming season?
Well, it doesn't seem like we're going to have a backup, but we don't know. There was such pressure on him. I would like to see a good backup goalie that's used better. Going back to confidence in what Gallant did in the beginning, he kept playing, at Halak, and it was like, it when he wasn't good, and he's like, I have faith. And then, then he got his footing, and it wasn't even so much his own footing. It was more like the team kind of started defending him better, which again was the topic. So, and then he ended really well. But when we look back to, like how relevant was he? How well did he actually had a good record, but he was silent. Yeah. And again, I think that's the way backup goalies should be. Give Igor like the attention he deserves. He went through a whole big thing and you know what? His record wasn't even that bad. Everyone bashed his record. He wasn't as good. He still ended up very well. I did like that site. So one of the things that should come with the request to the new coach is making sure he has a very nice supply of headbands, lifetime supply. And we need to make sure he's well taken care of, and then leave him alone afterward. I'm like, stop interviewing him.
I agree. He's somebody who needs to be very focused.
No, don't
give him his little time to like turtleneck into his little jersey, so he can just concentrate. And
exactly.
As I think what we want to,
my favorite.
I remember he was a little. We struggled at the beginning of the season last year. It would be great if we didn't have to worry about that. And there were a lot of rumors that it was because he had a new baby at home and he really wasn't getting enough sleep. But now that the baby's older, make sure that he's taken care of. We need this guy to not only, do amazing hockey, but we want him to stay. I think he's such a staple of this team.
He's fine. I'm curious if we're going to get a different backup goalie. We're going to see how things change. Again, I'm not so much interested in change as I am more development. A lot of times these trades, I know it's a business, but how do you develop people when you're just worried about them trading and everyone's thinking about the next best thing, and bottom line, this is not up to us. So,
but we are the HR department.
We are the HR department.
So
leave him. Bottom line point is leave him alone. Keep him happy. Make sure he has his headbands in order. And we'll see him shine again. I mean, I have no worries in Igor. He is, and he likes our balls.
He does.
So we're gonna keep that. I want more.
Yes. All right. That was okay. So number 3, this is very important. Take care of our kids. Get them babysitters. Make sure they know right from wrong.
They're growing.
Teach them to share.
Give them milk.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously we mean this very metaphorically, maybe, but we have amazing young players on this team. And I think that player development is going to be essential to what happens in this next season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's too much comparison going on with people. So stop doing that. Kako is not Jack Hughes.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't need a whole team full of brothers that are going to annoy the crap out of me after like the first game. So, and he's doing well where he's playing. So yeah, let them grow and give them time. That was another thing I kept seeing too, is like, there's so much pressure put on, Lafreniere or Kako or Hedel. And when you're comparing them to somebody, but yet you're saying, oh, well, most of the time you don't see them more developing their 4th or 5th year. And these guys are still young. We are going to need to have a new name for them, because how long are they stay kids? I mean, to me, they're kids. They're like my children's ages. They're still cute. But yeah, that was kind of the biggest thing at the end of the season too. Is the kid line was producing, especially during the playoffs. Did they get any more ice time? No. Should they have? Absolutely. Would we have a different outcome? Potentially, I think we would have. Yeah. So. Yes, I agree with that.
And now they'll be coming in with another year of experience under their belt, playoff experience under their belt. I think the sky is the limit, really, if they're just treated with tender loving care. I think that's what we are hoping for. In a obviously in a motivational.
They need to have more spotlight time. As much as I praise the fact that we're a very even keeled team with things. When they're doing well, highlight their ice time. I don't think they need as much ice time. I watched a lot of that in the ice time with other teams, and we were so even. But at times, you got to give them more. They can't produce or excel with 6 or 7 minutes of ice time in a game, or the minimal amount. They need more, especially when they're doing well. Throw it at them, because they have the energy and the stamina to do it. We lost opportunities at doing that. So I agree with that.
Yeah. My next one: lean on your captain. Make your captain.
Especially when people don't believe that, it's like captain, not my captain. They can believe. I think you're right.
Yeah, I am going to assume that nothing will change next season and that Trouba will still stay and Trouba will still be captain. I am not anticipating any changes. We loved Helmet Throw Trouba. Helmet Throw Trouba was such a force on the ice. I wanted to see more of that this entire season, especially when things started going south in the playoffs. I get it that Igor was the one yelling at the guys on the bench, but where was Trouba?
That was so hot.
I
was telling you. Look, I need that as a gift on my phone because that was a hot moment.
It's hot because it's inspiring the rest of them.
Yeah.
And I really, Trouba has the potential for that hotness. And it's shown through here and there. And it doesn't necessarily mean that he has to score 1 million goals, and it doesn't necessarily mean he needs to hog the puck or anything like that. But we want to see him step up into really a leadership role that goes throughout the season, not just in these moments of like, okay, well, we're sucking, so now I'm going to step up. We need to see that throughout the entire season.
I agree with that. I actually think I'd like to hear it more. So maybe one of the problems too is like when they're interviewing people, they're not interviewing him as captain, and as more of a spokesperson for the team, which I feel that should be done more. So just pulling off someone in the game to give us our generic answers, which we could all do, drunk and sleeping. So, but pull these captain, I'd like to see him more heading up the interviews and being more of a spokesperson for the team. So more people believe in him because again, his own team chose him as captain. Let us understand why that is.
Exactly.
We have our lovely, fan favorite captain, which that will always be too.
It's Kreider.
No shock there. And we like that too. But yeah, I would love to see the interviews, like him handling the interviews more, going for him so he can be the spokesman for the team and we get a better understanding of how things are working. And then, I would just like to kind of see the workings of how that captain, is influencing the team.
Yeah.
And how we're functioning there.
And maybe even a little bit more from the assistant captains too. I mean,
I think we need to contact his family.
I think we should have Sarah reach out. I think she'd be the
we were that close. I think I became buddies with his dad, his uncle, and I think I'm an aunt. So
we're basically
that was a missed opportunity. However, we do have a contact, so that might be something to pursue. I just in the aspect interview alone of a captain and understanding that more. I'd love to dig deeper and interview him for that.
I completely agree. It will be interesting to see how the next year kind of plays out with sort of the inner team leadership.
So take care of our captain.
Take care of that was like 0.5.
Oh, 0.5.
Which brings me to my final point, which is something near and dear to our heart because we are the fans. Dear new captain, please understand the fans. New Yorkers are the most diehard, supportive, understanding, angry, vengeful, terrified, loving people you could ever hope to have in a fan base. Know this and work with this and understand this. Know how to talk to us, know what kind of leadership we need to see to be able to stay the course. We have been doing this a long time. Some of us have seen Stanley Cups in our lifetime, but there are plenty of younger fans who have not. Embrace the dichotomy. Understand that you're now dealing with generational trauma. So,
and it's a long generation.
That's a long time.
You got a big gap there.
Yes. So know that for the fans, you have huge shoes to fill. This is not a job to be taken lightly. And I just, the fans will make their opinions known if they don't agree with something.
They're not even right about things. I mean, come on. But yeah, coach. So yeah, I agree with that. I actually think that not only do you have a team to deal with on a younger to an older level based on people they're playing that are younger to older level, but the fans are there too. And, how do you keep them happy? That's another great interview question for coach. Is this great, because that's what we're hearing. We're like, I remember when, like that's where I started to get. I remember when I saw them win in '94. And so
Okay,
I was there.
Okay, Grandma. You know that meme where it's like, okay, Grandma, time to go back to bed.
I'm like, oh my God, I was
I
there.
remember that.
Oh my God, was this? So, and
Generational trauma.
I mean, the odds are always against it, but how do you kind of deal with you're gonna be scrutinized from day one through the end. And I think as a coach, part of the addendum to that thing too is, how would you excel from a fan point of view to show like that you've increased, your momentum, your ability, and the team in different areas, from the beginning of the season to the end. I think in general, I hope most fans just want to see this improvement, although they don't know. I mean, I'm the one that's on the boards arguing with these people.
Just from a takeaway from Gallant last year, here's what I would like to see done differently. One, I mean, I think Gallant had his players' backs, and I think that's something with any coach. You want to see someone who's going to fight for their players. But I also don't think you want somebody delusional. I think Brind'Amour with this the loss that,
Can I make that
where he was like, where Brind'Amour was like, oh, we didn't really get swept, but you did. I think Gallant
brushed.
Yeah, exactly. I think Gallant had a little bit of just sort of like delusion sometimes where it's like, no, you lost badly. And I think you need to acknowledge that, take responsibility for it, which I do think our team has always been good at, taking responsibility. But also, like, we need to be realistic. Like, changes need to get made. You make it. Yeah. Yes.
That was a missing piece. I've had arguments and debates throughout the season on taking responsibility and ownership, which they have. However, oh yeah, we didn't do well. Oh yeah, we didn't do well. Oh, then what is being changed? And maybe that's the part that's missing when you're telling us, we should have done better, but be more, clarify better. That's the term I use kind of in my work, is clarify better so that it's not the same generic answer each time and people aren't making assumptions on your behalf. So that's kind of a big point too. That I get. I wish they would do that.
Yeah, and I will implore the journalists, Emily Kaplan, if you're listening, please make sure the questions that you are asking them are to the point and relevant, and will push them to answer to the fans in a positive way, in an educational way. That's what we're looking for. Our
next episode will be an open letter to ESPN. Yes. To see if you're hiring for new correspondents.
You're available. We're very fun.
We apply.
I think we will do that.
Exactly. That's going to be the next one. It's so relevant. We should totally be hired. I agree with that.
So, those were the points that I wanted to bring up to the new coach. Is there anything that you feel like we also need to mention? I mean, how fun it would be to win a Stanley Cup in New York. That would be very fun. So
dear new coach, stop and say hello and take pictures and selfies with me when I'm visiting New York, which, most of them do.
Yes. Dear new coach, if you happen to be single,
I am too.
Christine is also, and she could give you some great tips on what to do. So just have a think about that. Feel free to reach out.
As I can.
Feel free to reach out to us. We will make that happen. And I guess at the end of the day,
really great letter.
Yeah,
I think that covered some really good points that I think not just we want to see, but other people want to see too. So if you're listening all the way through this and you agree or disagree with points, we'd love to hear feedback on on kind of what you would see in a new coach too. Actually, and another thing is, hey, I'm looking at some of our fellow podcasters. If you're listening, let's chat, because I would love to see if there's any more addendums, to how they would think too.
We'll post.
But we may have a new coach by tomorrow, or maybe not. I don't know. The rumors are just all over the place right now.
Rumors are flying. I think it can happen at any time. I literally think at any time the new coach will be announced.
I'm seeing Laviolette's in New York, so oh my God, and so. Look, it is what it is. Drury has his own reasons for doing it. I'd love to see some interviews with, no, I wouldn't. I'm like with Drury, not really, but, just going to understand what he's going for. I'm just kind of curious too, as to how who does he involve in the decision? Is it Is it him? Does he involve Truba? I mean, should there be more of an influence too with your captain or even some of your seasoned teammates on how you would do that? We were discussing more of a coach that could relate to a younger team, which is where everyone's going. So, we saw the difficulties with, Suter, and the team he was from. So, who's going to be the right coach to develop the youngness of the team, melding with the older players or the seasoned players, and the dynamic of who they're playing, because again, every team you play changes their dynamic and changes. We were talking about this all throughout the season. And my child, who's our correspondent for the West Coast team, had a really good point that, we're seeing more goals being scored. We're seeing more overtimes. This is a whole dynamic of the game and the sport itself that is continuously changing. And how does a coach take that into consideration when they're coaching? Because, is it going to be blamed on our goalie that they're scoring more, or they're taking better shots, they're stronger, they're faster? We saw something completely new and different and developing in the sport itself, with how they're playing. And that's going to continuously change. I'd love to see some data on like goals scored overtimes. I mean, we saw more overtimes, I think, than we've ever seen. I think we still remained the king team of post hits. So we're going to develop those kind of things. And how's a coach going to take over in that respect? So, and then coach versus team. That's more thing I would like to learn too, because I've had a debate over how it was the coach's fault that Artemi would come into the zone and spin. I'm like, how is it the coach's fault? That's on him.
Well, it's not the coach's fault, but that's something that needs to be addressed directly with him. And that coach needs to be able to know how to talk to him. You'd be a great coach. Me, Ted Lasso.
You know what? A woman coach would be great.
Could you imagine? I was just thinking about that.
If a woman coach came on there, like I grew up, again, I'm a hockey mom. My kids have been playing if a mom were to go out there and start coaching these kids, man, the minute you screwed up, you'd be doing claps, ladders, all kinds of things, and you wouldn't want to be doing it again. Like they should take that up. That's kind of why I liked Quinn, because Quinn had this kind of
mom vibe, mom energy.
He had more of like this like kind of high school coach, like vibe, where I think he made them all pay a price. Like we had coaches that were like, whatever differential you lost by, that's how many ladders you were doing. So you didn't want to lose by too many. These kids were lazy. So like I always felt like Quinn had that kind of approach with the guys, as a buddy approach. Kind of probably lasted a hot second.
So do you want to change your application to ESPN? So instead of correspondent, are we going for coach now? I think you'd be a great coach.
Do it all.
I think you'd be a great coach.
I would just be a bossy mom and make them do stuff. They wouldn't. You make them do things they don't want to do, and then they'll start changing.
They're men in their 20s and 30s. That's exactly what they need.
Personally, I like to be correspondent. I don't want the responsibility of a coach. But I can turn into a mom in a hot second.
We could tag team it. I'm terrible at skating, but still, I think
Do we have to skate?
Maybe mom energy is exactly what they need. Like, okay, Artemi, if you spin one more time, you're going to your room.
I think maybe this next season with the mom week, we need to focus on some of those things, too. So
I love it, and I would love to sort of explore what
moms should coach for a day on Mom Week.
That would be so interesting, just to see the difference between how a woman would coach this team versus how a man would coach it. I think it's very interesting. I think that's, part of the reason we wanted to start this podcast is to offer a different perspective on our favorite team, the New York Rangers. So I'm maybe that's something we will explore in future podcasts.
Just wait till Liz gets her hands on more bromance stories.
Oh, just wait.
Especially with this month, with this Pride Month. I think there's a lot of coming out of people that you didn't expect in people's minds.
In my mind in particular. I really feel like if the coach is really going to understand this team, get on Archive of Our Own and start reading.
Maybe the coach needs to have some private sessions with his players.
We are available for consulting as well.
With that one, I want to vision Sullivan, Knobloch. Okay, I'm still there. So, Knobloch, come on. Why is he not considered? I still think that's a good one.
Well, on that note, we would love to hear from you guys. If you have any points that you want to bring up to our new future coach, maybe by the time this episode airs on all of the podcast platforms, maybe we'll have a new coach by then. Maybe it'll be next week. Maybe the Panthers will have won the Stanley Cup. Maybe not
4 games straight.
Yeah, probably not. Maybe. It depends.
Good luck finding your channel wherever you may be, and the time. It's at 5:00 every day. So it's either 5:00 here because it's West Coast, or it's going to be
or 8:00 in.
It's 5:00 for us, I think, every time.
That's funny.
I think we're good at 5, and it's 8:00. So hopefully no overtimes for you guys. I love overtimes because sometimes I'm during the week I don't have anything to do, so I'm like, keep it going. Enjoy the roars and
happy finals. We made it,
and
this
the
far.
nights. And all the glittering and glamour. And listen, we have a week playoffs. The Stanley Cup playoff starts tomorrow at 5:00 on TNT, and it'll be a fun series. I'd love it for it to go 7 in overtime, just for the excitement of of Vegas winning at home. Because Vegas does have home ice advantage on this, so we'll see. And if it's an underdog, they are not as comparable as the Kings, but they are comparing them to the Kings in the ride up the chain there. So that's another thing we kind of like to see.
Did you see there's a strip club offering free lap dances if the Knights win the Stanley Cup?
Well, where is it?
In Vegas.
We have time to go.
Yeah, we do have time to go. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Happy finals. We will see you soon from Double Defense. Bye.
Bye, guys.